Good morning, early birds. I am here. Sorry, I am so late. The time totally got away from me. I was up early, but I was doing a little chatting with some people on my phone a little bit, trying to figure out the mysteries that have been going on here. They have been really bothering me. I've talked about it in the class here a little bit, but I try and save it for the mysteries. I went through some of my old recordings because I'm trying to get things organized a little bit while I am here in this place, trying to figure out why I'm going from apartment to apartment. We can't talk about that right now. We're supposed to be talking about reading, early birds. All I'm talking about is, how are you feeling? I want to let you know that even big people and even teachers have all kinds of other things that they're working on and worried about. But I still try and get here for you because I think as I've said before, why did I start this? I started this because I think that kids are the ones that we need to teach about integrity and responsibility and wisdom and understanding and empathy and responsibility. Did I already say that? And respect, right? I want you to learn and trustworthiness. I want you to encourage, right? Our sight words. So this is where we were at, right? We were talking about the different points of view of the author. And one of the things I didn't have in this one was the second person point of view. Do you remember what the second person point of view, early birds, is? Do you remember what the second person point of view is? That is where we're using, and if we remember from English, which some of you may not know from English, and I forgot. I was like, what's the pronoun for the third person when we were talking about third person objective, for example? I know, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Look on the slide and you'll get to it. We have pronouns when we use first person, second person, and third person. And these are matching the pronouns that we use when we narrate a story. What does it mean to narrate a story? Tell a story. To tell a story. That's narrating a story. We are telling our story. Sometimes we narrate a story and we say, I. Ugh. Sometimes we narrate a story and we say, you, or tell a story. We tell a story. We say, you need to. My shorts was an instructional video. You need to glue it on the back of the large circle if you want the beak to stand out. If you don't care, you glue the top circle, the head, on the front of the body, right? You. What's narrating a story? Narrating a story is just telling a story. Sometimes we use quotes in the story, and then he said, look out below, right? We can tell a story and use other people's words, tell what somebody else said, tell what somebody else did. He, she, she. That's third person, right? So let's get to the people over here, shall we? Give me a second. So first person. Second person uses you. When I'm saying you need to, sometimes I'm telling my kids, you need to clean your room. You need to study, right? Then I'm telling you a story about what you need to do. Instruction, right? The next one is third person, and we know third person from English grammar. That's what I forgot, our English grammar. When I said the other day, what's the pronoun third person? What else would that third person use? Duh. He, she, it. That's third person grammatically. That's our third person when we're speaking grammatically. So first person in grammar is I. Second person in grammar is you. Third person and grammar is he, she, or it. All right? So when we narrate a story, very often we don't sit there, as I've said before, and decide, are we going to use first person, second person, or third person? We just start telling the story. Later on, the English teachers figure out what the different types of narration are. They figured it out. But we've been telling stories. We didn't have to wait till somebody said, oh, we need to know first person, second person, and third person before anyone can start telling a story. No, we put those labels on after people started telling stories. Of course we would, after they started telling stories, right? Okay, so now here's the new part I added. After the different points of view that we talked about, we said decoding helps us improve reading and thinking. And early birds, in my LinkedIn, I have a PDF there for you. I suppose I could put it down below. I think I could put it down below. A PDF there, this PDF, that has got new sight words in there. So if you have been with us since the beginning, at the very beginning, I started putting together vocabulary words. And then throughout, clearly, I've got 16 of these now, 16 pages of our early bird sight words. So here are some of the early bird sight words that I gave you from the very first 50 sight words that I got online for our spelling quiz number 1, right? Then we did diphthongs that were vowels like O-W, right? O-I, A-U, diphthongs that are making one sound, right? We did, here are some other ones, scarf, S-C, which are also blends, or murmur diphthongs like A-R, right? Well, we did blends. S-C would be a blend, not a diphthong. Diphthong makes a different sound, right? And here are some more diphthongs that we did. We also did compound words, woodpile, book bag, bookcase, woodchuck, right? So there are compound words there. We did words with, we've got a medial SH sound, tissue, airship, mushroom. Whereas, how about something like tension? We don't have that up there. So, oh, and we had the story handling your ups and downs. So we used words, vocabulary words from that book because that taught us a lot of different vocabulary words. So those are vocabulary words from our book, Handling Your Ups and Downs. That was a long time ago. Sight words contractions: are not, aren't, cannot, can't. So more sight words. Look at, we're only on page 8. So, oh, there we also had titles: president, doctor, streets, drive. So abbreviations, right? North, south. We had plurals here. So our irregular plurals: foot, feet, tooth, teeth, sheep, sheep, moose, moose, right? Our plurals. And then we had sight word trees. We had all of our trees when we were doing our observations outdoors. Remember that? Look at all our sight words. We had sight words that had to do with money because we were counting. And there's our money, right? And we were talking about subjects and predicates and grammar and irregular spellings of words. And, what are they called? Homophones. Homophones. Word that sound alike but are spelled differently, right? And here we've got syllables. We were learning how to break words into syllables. We were learning our syllable rules. And now these are the new ones that I added that I got from this book right here. Oh, look at what I put up here. So I've got both of our night lights there. I've got our boys' night light and I have our girls' night light. Girls' night, oh, because I put the feet on the girls. I'm like, the girls' night light is taller. So I got these first, second, and third grade new sight words from these teaching books that I had, that I got, like, what was it, 2 years ago now? Probably 2 years ago, that I got from Commerce Library Sale. I went to another library sale. I was very disappointed in it. 100 words. So this is what I used, and this is, you can see here, so 100 words for grade 1, 100 words for grade 2, and 100 words for grade 3. So this is from Scholastic. It's from Scholastic, and I just think that they have been producing just phenomenal material for a very long time. Where is it? There we go. Okay, so there's for second grade, there are 50 sight words, but I ended up, yeah, there's 100 of them, but some of them we've used, right? So there are all of our sight words, 50 more sight words. Oh, and these are numbers then. So some of them had numbers in them, I think in third grade. Let's take a look at that. Or maybe in second grade. So some of them they have in first grade, right? So there's our numbers. Let's see if they have all the numbers there. Let's see if they have 3. Yep, 3 and 1. Yeah, so I got all the numbers from the first grade. So even though these say 100 sight words, this is what I'm saying. It says 100 sight words, and up here I have only 50 sight words right there. That's because the other 50 are someplace else on these charts. So I have all those sight words in there. Then we went to the story and we left on, and I put a little short out there about how much of about percentages. So a fun way of looking at statistics and percentages, I took a 1 minute, 1.5 minute short I took from here. Then we were talking about writing reports, right? And I told you that I used one of the Teachers Pay Teachers sources that I liked for these questions to help us write a report. You are what? A girl, a person, a sports player, a reader. You are what? You can what? You can write reports. You can run and skip, right? These are the way that teachers help us begin to write reports. When you come back from summer vacation and they ask you, what did you do on your summer vacation? You are beginning to write a report, okay? All right, so we talked about that. I said these are wonderful questions to use in order to write a report, no matter what it's on. The president is, the president can, the president has, Congress, and a presidential staff, right? A cabinet. The president eats junk food, from what I hear. The president lives in the White House. The president likes what? So those are questions that you can ask to make any kind of report. Remember, when we write reports, we want to write reports on those things that we love, right? We want to write reports on the things that we love because those are easy to write about. We want to read because reading expands our minds so that we like more than just video games, right? So we like more than just playing on our phone. So we like more than gambling, right? I love you, Saxon and Travis. Those are my sons. So now I've got a report on Michigan here, right? I love Michigan. I live in Michigan, so I know Michigan. Remember, when we decide what we want to write about, we write what we know and what we love. All right? So if I were to write about my state, can I have those same questions there? Michigan are, Michigan can. Well, Michigan is a state. I don't know what it can do. Michigan have. Well, first of all, we're not even using the correct tense of those verbs. So we might have to think, if we're writing about something we love, sometimes we might have to think about how we're going to change it, right? To answer questions on what we're doing, on what we're writing about. So maybe some better questions for Michigan, instead of Michigan are, maybe we say Michigan where? We tell them where Michigan is. Michigan is in the United States, surrounded by the largest freshwater lakes. That was what I was trying. I said natural lakes. No, freshwater lakes. I was trying to think of that the other day. Freshwater lakes, 5 freshwater lakes, the largest in the world, right? We might ask about climate instead of Michigan can, right? Michigan can. We might talk about climate, right? Instead of Michigan have, we might say Michigan has an upper peninsula where it's like living in the past with few paved roads and almost all forest. Michigan has. Instead of Michigan eat, we would say Michigan crops. What kind of crops are in Michigan? We find corn, but Iowa is known for corn. We find grapes, but California is known for their grapes, right? We don't find tobacco here. We find lots of farmland is what we find in Michigan. Instead of saying Michigan live, we would say Michigan life. Michigan life is for the tourist. Michigan life is for the beach bum. Michigan life is for the Michigan militia. No, because they're destroying Michigan life. And then instead of Michigan like, we would say Michigan opinion. What's your opinion about Michigan? So these are different ways to begin to get your ideas about what you want to write about. And now, folks, we're going to go back to our PowerPoint, because this is why I had us on our PowerPoint in the first place. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Michigan are, Michigan where? We're going to start our spider map finally. And that, folks, is why I've had us constantly on this PowerPoint. So we can see, and I'm going to tell you something else. I had the most disgusting spider crawl across that map over there. And I was like, oh, it won't work if I'm not on this. It was the most disgusting spider, and I was like, yeah, I can't even look at it. And I remember I did that in my class too. I had that spider for a spider map because I was teaching my students how to write as well, and I couldn't even look at it. I had to like bypass it. All right, so here we have using a spider map. I'm going to have to stop that now because it gets a little distracting. I don't know, is it? I don't know. I think it's pretty cute. Let's keep it there, shall we? I'll talk from this. Now, this has got a lot of instruction on it right here. All right, so I'm going to break it down, but here is where you've got all your instructions for writing, and then I'm going to break these things down and show you the different tools that we have to use. So we said decide, the first thing that you do is what are you writing about? What did the teacher assign for you to write about? And if you get to choose your topic, then what you want to write about are those things that you know and that you love, right? Those are the things that you want to write about. Gather up your evidence. Gather up your resources. This is exactly what I do when I start a lesson. I go and I look for Teachers Pay Teachers. I go and I look for an animated spider. I made this spider diagram, right? I gather up my materials or evidence or facts or resources? What are my resources going to be, right? What are my resources going to be? Then we organize our resources, and that's where the spider map comes in. This helps us gather our ideas, and it helps us begin to organize our ideas. Then we start writing. Once we've got all of our things together, we start writing. And we start writing with our introduction. In our introduction, we do want to have a thesis statement, just like I had a thesis statement for this class. It gives us a direction, early birds. When we know what we want to say about our whole report, it's like the plot is what it's like. It's like our plot. Our thesis statement is like the plot of our story. So we kind of lay things out, right, in order to get the reader ready to hear our report, right? We write a book report in a little bit different way. We talked about that on day 175 and 176 and 174 probably as well, right? We write that in a slightly different way. So it all depends on the report that you're writing, how you organize that. Remember, we don't tell the solution. We don't tell the conclusion in a book report. It would spoil the book. But in a Michigan report, we're not hiding facts from the people on a Michigan report. We want to tell them everything we can about Michigan. So we start with an introduction. Today, I'm going to talk about the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan is beautiful. Michigan is a beautiful state with wonderful natural resources. Our thesis statement, I would recommend that you visit Michigan because of their beautiful natural resources. That's a thesis statement that I want to always remember. Even when I'm talking about climate, I want to talk about in Michigan, for example, I would want to talk about the climate in Michigan that contributes to natural resources. Even if I'm talking about life in Michigan or climate in Michigan or where Michigan is or the crops that Michigan produces, every time I want to have my thesis statement in mind, and if it is, I think you should visit Michigan because of all of its beautiful natural resources. Then I always want to be pushing that idea to my reader. Natural resources, natural resources, natural resources. That's why we have a thesis statement. It keeps our paper, our ideas organized. And that thesis statement is found in our introduction. Okay? If we're writing a longer report, we'll have headings. But on a shorter report, a 5-paragraph report for our early birds, we wouldn't have headings. Longer reports, you're going to get headings. And then that's like a report in a report. Heading number 1, a small report. Heading number 2, a small report about that topic. Heading number 3, a small report about that topic. And each one of them would have a smaller thesis statement about that heading. Do you see? Writing is really repeating itself over and over again, and that shows not what you're saying, but how you're organizing it. You're repeating the organization over and over, and this helps the reader better understand what you're trying to say. We use topic sentences. So once we have our thesis statement, for every paragraph, we use a smaller thesis statement. What is this paragraph for? What's that paragraph for? That's our topic sentence. And then at the end, we start with an introduction. We have our evidence in our paragraphs, and then we end with a summary. That usually gives us 5 paragraphs. Our introduction, 3 paragraphs that we want to say, right, about Michigan, for example, and then our summary. Those are 5 paragraphs. Each paragraph needs to have a topic sentence. What is that paragraph going to be about? We often give ideas for the future in a report. In the future, I hope to see more of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I've never seen the copper mines, or what's over there on the west side of the point over there. I forgot. But I've seen the waterfalls on the east. I forgot what begins with a T. I know, I didn't look up Michigan. I forgot my evidence. And then always cite your sources. Remember that I always try and give you the cites for what I've been doing, for the evidence that I had to look up, the resources. Cites are resources. These are the resources that I used to help put this presentation together, right? Okay, so now we actually are, I got the spider. Let's get the spider map. Writing a report. Now that was a lot of information I just gave you. But what I wanted to tell you, I wanted to go back and tell you and talk about those points. So the first point was deciding what to write about. So now let's talk about it in more detail. Gave you all those points. Now we're going to slow down and talk to you about this in more detail. Deciding what to write about. Again, what is it that you know and what is it that you love? Those are the 2 most important things you want to use when you're deciding what to write about. And then let's take a quick peek at this spider map. I actually have a blank spider map there for you that you can use, and you can find that in my PDF, okay? In my PDF and my LinkedIn, you can find this blank spider map for you that you can use when you're trying to write. When we're using this spider map, what we want to do is we want to think about what is our major topic. What's the topic that we decided to write about? And then here you can see what I have is I've got 3 major points. So what we're writing about is in the middle there in the big blue circle, our topic. Then I said we have 3 main points for a 5-paragraph report. Usually that's what you start with your first report, 5 paragraphs. You've got your topic. So your paragraphs are introduction, 3 main points, like about Michigan, as I've said, and your summary. So there in green, I've got major point. I've got 3 major points. We haven't decided how to organize it yet, which one you want to talk about first. We'll talk about how to decide those things. But right now, what we're doing is we're organizing our resources. After we've gathered evidence, we need to organize our resources, and this is how we do it. What do you want to talk about from all the resources that you've read? What do you want to talk about? There's 3 major points for a 5-paragraph outline, a 5-paragraph report. You would have 3 major points to decide what to talk about, right? So, and remember, if we're talking about Michigan, for example, they really should all have to do with our topic sentence, natural resources. Okay? So, and then we've got in orange minor points, and then in purple details of those minor points. For each major point, you need at least two minor points. For each major point, you need at least two minor points. Otherwise, it probably shouldn't be a major point. Okay? So maybe you talk about crops and you talk about climate in the crops. So a major point would be crops and a minor point might be climate. Because then I don't have to talk about all of the different seasons in climate as a major point. Do you understand what I'm saying? Climate being a major point, what would my two minor points be? It rains, it pours, it rains, it snows, sunny, rainy. What would be my minor points? Would it be fall, winter, spring, summer? That seems like an awful lot to talk about, those seasons, when I'm talking about Michigan. So we might have a major point of crops and a minor point of climate in Michigan. Or we might have a major point of beaches and a minor point of climate. Or maybe for every major point, we talk about the climate. So climate doesn't have to be one of the major points. Remember what I showed you. I showed you 6 major points that you could talk about for Michigan, right? I showed you 6 major points. But for a 5-paragraph outline, or for a 5-paragraph report, we only need 3 major points. What are you going to talk about? We probably don't have to talk about has, because we're talking about what Michigan has when we talk about crops and life and climate. The opinion can go in our summary. So now I've got 4 topics to talk about: where it is, the climate, life in Michigan, and the crops. I could easily get that down to 3 things: where, crops, and life in Michigan, and put climate in there as a minor point, right? Okay, I'm going to let you take a look at this spider map and leave it here on this spider map for you to kind of think about and judge how you could use this spider map to write your first 5-paragraph report. Okay? This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and we are here in the classroom. Thank you. In the early bird, is that what I wanted? In the early bird classroom, where we are learning about writing what we know and writing what we love. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We are here in the early bird classroom, day 177. I will be back here in about a half an hour. We went a whole hour in the early birds today, but I yacked for 15 minutes. So about 45 minutes on writing today, and we'll take a half an hour break. So our schedule is completely off. I'll see you back here at about 10:45, right about 10:40 probably. Thanks for joining me.